he is devastating against the opposition.
Correct. And what happens during a bye? You rest, right? Take some time off, let your players go home, rest their legs, hang with their fam, go on vacation, whatever it is. Get out of the building, do what you need to do. When you come back, we'll go back to work. Andy Reid has one of the best records, if not the best record, because I don't have it in front of me, in the NFL in terms of a head coach coming off after a bye. Taking 3 weeks off, in my mind, seems like a really long time in the NFL. I don't think that that's arguable. Is that a word? Arguable?
No. Yeah. Yes.
It is
arguable.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, for any other team, this would make me nervous because you lose momentum. For the Chiefs, it doesn't. Just because of Andy Reid's track record, coming off a bye, coming off of rest, and the rapport that he has with these guys. I know the offensive line is banged up a little bit. This could get them a little bit of time to get healthy, let everyone kind of get their mind right. I'm sure you'll have multiple Zoom meetings and, film sessions and whatnot. 3 weeks off ain't nothing but a thing, and it's a great thing if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. They have not beat a team by double digits since week 8. Maybe this is what they need. Some time off to get right.
This. You didn't like this before. This made you worried about them being rusty, being that far long off.
Yeah, I've talked myself into it.
Well, I
like it now.
I think the bigger question would be, you're hearing now Mitchell Schwartz, left tackle, is not going to be available most likely for the postseason. That's not guaranteed. That's the early reports. Offensive line's been a little bit banged up there in Kansas City. I know, and I'm saying because of that, does that 3 weeks of rest open it up for maybe these guys to get more healthy for certain? I need to know if Schwartz is going to be able to play in the postseason. That is a big deal. It's a huge deal. He's been out for a while now, and maybe that spoke to these close finishes. I just worry about a team.
One offensive lineman doesn't speak to the close finishes.
My point is, they don't have a run game, and they didn't when they won it last year. So but
they're going to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back for the postseason, supposedly.
And what kind of impact will he have, we'll see. But they had the 24th best rushing attack last year, won the Super Bowl, because they had Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I just have to have a little bit of trepidation when you're looking at a Chiefs team that says they can turn it on when they need to turn it on. That team can play out during a regular season. But when you only have one opportunity to survive in advance, what if you turn it on a little too late? What if you're facing one of these teams that says, hey, we're going to close the door on you? Because that's what we can do. Yes, as Dan Graziano mentioned, the Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills. That was on October 19th. Buffalo Bills are an entirely different team at this point. You could say the Chiefs beat New Orleans, and they'd have to see him be in the Super Bowl. But New Orleans, maybe Drew Brees, and I'm wrong, maybe Drew Brees is more comfortable again by that time. They saw him his first game back coming from injury, and they lost by a field goal. Chiefs won by a field goal. My point is this.
What's your point?
I watched the Clippers turn it on when they needed to turn it on in the NBA, and that didn't go so well for them in the playoffs. The Chiefs are more elevated than the Clippers, but I'm just saying, in professional sports, the teams coming for you are fully capable. So if you're going to turn it on very late, that makes me a little bit worried for Chiefs fans out there. Yes, you have Mahomes, but watch out for these real contenders out there within your conference and on the other side, because there are a few teams out there that can put up points comfortably with you and have quarterbacks that can go win games as well. So there are teams out there that you look at the Chiefs and say, I'm okay with the Bills being there. And maybe if you talk about the inexperience there, I'm very okay with on the other side.
Which quarterback or which coach you trust the most? It's the combination of the two.
Yeah.
Feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, because this came from my chain with my boys back home in Cincinnati where I grew up. We always generate content for the show with our power rankings. We got to talking about, look, it's one thing to trust quarterbacks like we talked about on the show last week, but you got to couple them with a coach that you trust, because the coach is equally as important in the playoffs as the quarterback is. Shout out to my man Imbis making this thing happen, and here we are. So at number 1, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. It's got to be.
Okay.
24-25, reigning Super Bowl champs, Patrick Mahomes. It goes without saying.
Okay.
I think we'll both agree on number 1. Number 2, Coach Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. It's got to be. With what Aaron Rodgers is doing this year, he's won a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl MVP. But the relationship that Rodgers and LaFleur have, which everybody was questioning before it came together a season ago, well, they got to the doorstep of the Super Bowl last year. Could not get past the Niners, lost in the championship game there in the NFC. This year, I think they're poised to win the Super Bowl. But I couldn't put them ahead of Mahomes and Reid. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because if you think they're poised to win the Super Bowl, why didn't you put them 1?
Because they haven't done it yet. We already see you have to usurp number 1. They're going to do it this year. but I still have to respect the reigning champion.
Okay.
At 3, don't move me along.
I'm trying to move you along.
At 3, Coach Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. Let Russ cook. Pete Carroll, they have a body of work that's won Super Bowls. They've lost Super Bowls, blunders from Coach Carroll, but they've done it consistently.
Okay.
The newcomer to the list, Coach Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. They haven't won a postseason game yet, but how they looked yesterday, how they've looked through what, they won 8 straight?
No, they've won 8 of their last 9. The Hail Murray.
Get rid of the Hail Murray, and that's 9 wins in a row. This Buffalo team is special. They are a true contender to the Chiefs within the AFC. And then finally, I had to give Lamar Jackson some love because people have been questioning his team all year long. People forgot who John Harbaugh is. He, too, has won a Super Bowl. This team is playing arguably as good a football as not necessarily Buffalo or Green Bay or Kansas City, but they're up there. They're like 4th. So I'm going with experience at both the quarterback position and the coaching position. But Buffalo trumps both of those with how well they're playing. That's my 5. And I do have a glaring omission. Let's see if you put that in your list. And if not, we'll talk about that on the back end.
I just find it kind of comical that you're going to put Harbaugh and Jackson in your list at number 5. And then you made sure to point out how Josh Allen and Sean McDermott haven't won a playoff game when Lamar Jackson has struggled mightily in the postseason.
True.
I'm just going to draw that to your attention.
It's like Dabo says, it's my poll. This is my poll. I'll do what I want with my poll.
Your real rankings. That's what they are. Let's go to my
State's
rankings.
At 11.
We're going to my rankings. All right, I'm going to agree with you and Rita Mahomes at number 1. I'm kind of over the narrative of it's Kansas City's to lose and who can compete with them. However, they are the reigning champions, and so I will put them at number 1 because you just can't argue against it till you see a win in the postseason. You
better have it number 2 because you said it with your chest. Your number 2 better be what I think it is, Shay.
Oh, it is. Give me McDermott and Josh Allen.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Because this is the team that I think is going to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. And to me, the argument is who can compete with the Bills right now?
Talk to me.
Who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Chiefs? I don't know. Is it going to be the Steelers, the Colts, the Titans? We can go on down the list. And number 3, I'll agree with you, LaFleur and Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind right now. I think he has locked up the MVP. However, I don't know that LaFleur makes Rodgers better. I think Rodgers is great with any head coach. LaFleur and him have a good relationship. He manages his team really well. But I think Rodgers, you can insert another coach in there and Rodgers would be having the same kind of season. That's my opinion.
Like McCarthy had 2 years ago.
He won an MVP and he won a Super Bowl with McCarthy as his head coach. It just didn't work out the last couple of years.
Because the trust was no longer there. The creativity was lacking.
Fine. But my point is still, Aaron Rodgers can be great with another head coach.
You put him on your list.
So
you have him at 3. I am at 2. You got respect there.
Okay, so number 3. Number 4, come on, Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I don't know why they weren't on your list because they're competing with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay to be the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. And I get it. Drew Brees is banged up a little bit, but these two know each other very well to the point where Sean Payton knows when Drew Brees needs to sit, when he needs to go, when he needs to knock off Russ, et cetera, et cetera. I trust these two in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, but I think they can make a run in the playoffs. Number 5, I'll agree with you, Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson. Not necessarily letting Russ cook, because I think that's what kind of got Russ in trouble as of late, doing too much.
Yeah.
But I think Pete Carroll has pulled it back a little. Their defense is playing better. They now have healthy running backs. And so I do trust this 1-2 punch of Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson.
There is still one glaring omission. We'll get to that on the back end. But first, I have to question your Peyton Brees decision. Coach Sean Payton, absolutely. Trust him as much as I trust anybody. An offensive mastermind, one of the greatest coaches of this era. One of the greatest coaches of all time. He's in that category. He's that good. Drew Brees isn't the Drew Brees that we've come to know and love. His body's beating him down. His best football's behind him. And I think if you get behind and you have to go win a game with the arm of Drew Brees, I just don't think he has it anymore. It's not that he doesn't have the talent anymore. It's his body has let him down, and he can't go out there and win games like he has in years past. So an immense trust of Sean Payton, the coach. I just don't trust Drew Brees as much as I would like to. That's why I don't have him there.
And that's fair. I don't trust Lamar Jackson as much as you do. And that's why I have Drew Brees in there. Because I think if Drew Brees doesn't feel 100%, he could say, bring him Taysom Hill, or I'm going to hand it off to Alvin Kamara, or whatever he needs to do.
Hold on. Steeler fans are blowing up my line right